Yo, what is up everyone? This is Francis over here from PlayerEssence.com, and since a lot of you guys are tired of me talking about Nintendo's next generation system, I thought I'd go ahead and start up a new series leading up to E3 2015 called E3 HITLIST. And what I will be talking about are games that I'm most excited for leading up towards E3, and there's going to be a ton of games over the course of the next month till E3. So today we're going to be talking about Devil's Third for the Wii U. And this game is surrounded in somewhat mystery because there was information on it at last year's E3. It looked really rough. They showed off a trailer. The trailer kind of looked dated as far as the visuals go, and the gameplay looked a little rough around the edges as far as glitches when they showed it off at IGN's live stage show. But Itagaki-san said that they've made tons of progress since the E3 build, even going as far as saying that it looks like a completely different game. He also had a couple of other tidbits. This was of December of last year. He said that the game was actually 80% complete. And then again, this year, earlier, he said that trust in Nintendo as far as the release date goes. So it seems like they've wrapped up development of this game and they're just kind of waiting for it to get a release date announcement, probably at E3 2015. Another thing that Itagaki-san said about the game, he said that the Pro Controller is probably the way that you want to play, which kind of contradicts what they said at E3 2014 when they were talking about how they're going to use the gamepad in really cool ways, or they kind of alluded to that. So it looks like they've kind of made a little bit of a U-turn on that, but I'm pretty sure that the gamepad will be used in some cool ways, especially with the whole mechanic they have with the online multiplayer to where you can have like bases and all of that stuff, and the multiplayer in this game just looks insane. So let's go ahead and start off first with the single player, the gameplay, and then we'll get into multiplayer as far as my impressions and what I want to see. So the single player is classic Itagaki-san with a new twist in there. You have an action game but with shooter elements. But what makes this game a little bit different than other games is the fact that it's actually third person. You can slash people up like Ninja Gaiden, and then there's a cover system in the game, but when you go out to shoot, you actually go into first person. So it's a really weird hybrid that you really don't see that much. Usually you see third person shooters or you see first person shooters. You don't really see the blending of the two. The last time that I really played a game that did something like this was Rainbow Six on the Rainbow Six on the Xbox 360. And that game, I think it was Vegas, that game would actually have it to where you were in first person, and then when you got into cover, you went into third person so you can get a better surrounding view. And then when you went back out to shoot, you went back into first person. So this game is a little bit different. It's third person, you go into cover, you're still in third person, but then when you go into shoot, it goes into first person. So I think that's actually pretty cool. And if you combine those elements as far as the shooting goes with some solid classic Itagaki Ninja Gaiden combat, I think you have a winner as far as the gameplay goes. Now, there's a ton of blood in this game, a ton of violence in this game. It might put off a lot of Nintendo fans, but at the same time, if it has solid mechanics, if it runs really fast, and if the single player is overall enjoyable and fun and they put together a decent story, I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with this game. I don't like the main character, Ivan. I don't like the bald rock and all that. I wish they changed that. I wish it was a different character, but that's okay. This just looks, I'm really more worried about the actual single player content, what they have to offer, if there's going to be some co-op, what are they going to add to it. So as far as single player, what I want to see at E3, I want to see the polish that you'll see from Itagaki's previous games. I want to see the polish from the Ninja Gaiden games. I want to see that difficulty. I want to see the variety in weapons because we really haven't seen a lot of that. We just really saw one sword and a couple different guns. I want to see some upgrading. I want to see what other powers, what this game has to offer. I also want to see much improved visuals from what we saw at E3 2014. I want to see that Itagaki and his team said, yeah, we did improve the visuals. This game is running on Unreal Engine 3, but as we know, Unreal Engine 3 can be heavily modified. So if they made a lot of tweaks to the game and they shifted a lot of things up, it could look a lot better than they actually showed at E3 2014. So I definitely want to see them do that. I also want to see, as far as the single player goes, a good length. I think a good 7 to 12 hours in length would be good. Anything below that would be a little bit disappointing for people who do like the classic Itagaki Ninja Gaiden games, because many of you guys know the old Ninja Gaiden games, those ones were pretty long, mainly because you were dying a lot, but even then, even if you were good at the game, they were a solid 8 hours plus. So I definitely want to see the length. I want to see the variety in weapons. I want to see the improved visuals and the polish that we've seen from past games from Itagaki-san. Next, let's move on to the multiplayer. So they've talked a little bit about the multiplayer as far as what you're going to be able to do. I think they did say 8 on 8, but that could change. There's going to be to where you can join up in crews or factions and you can actually build together a base or stuff like that. There's going to be all sorts of crazy modes. There was a mode like with chickens or something like that. So there really isn't much unveiled on the game's multiplayer, but there's a ton of customization. Like they showed off a lot of that at E3, and I think I want to see more of that. I want to see more of the customization. I do want to see more of the gameplay modes, and I want to see how they're going to use the Wii U gamepad in the multiplayer. As far as maps goes, is there going to be voice chat? That's also something that I do want to see in there. For a mature rated game, I definitely think it should be in there. I do also want to see, as far as multiplayer goes, how are they going to handle matchmaking? How are they going to handle invites? Because that's probably the Wii U's biggest fault as far as so far. Now, Call of Duty did a great job, but Smash Bros is a disaster trying to play with your friends. I mean, it's almost impossible at times because you have to send messages through beavers, and the whole thing is just, it's a mess as far as doing that. You can't see connections as far as with people random online. So how are they going to handle connections? How are they going to handle messaging? How are they going to handle invites? I want to see all of that at E3. I want to make sure that that's polished and that's put together so you can have an enjoyable multiplayer experience online. And if they do that, plus they add in all the game modes, plus they have the 8 on 8, or if they have more, maybe even a little bit less, I don't mind, but just as long as there's a lot of cool stuff to do in the game as far as the multiplayer goes. But I'm really more worried about the single player and how that innovates, and if the multiplayer is great, then that's just icing on the cake. So let me know what you guys think about Devil's Third. What are you looking forward to most? Do you have high expectations for this game? Do you have low expectations for this game? I would love to see that in the comment section below. And I'll also give a prediction for my release date as far as when this game is coming out. I think it's going to be slotted in the same time slot that Bayonetta 2 got released last year, which is late October here in North America. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Friday at the end of the month in October is when Devil's Third comes out for the Wii U in North America. As far as Europe and Japan goes, who knows? But yeah, so that basically wraps it up for this one here. Please hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know that you guys want more E3 countdown hit list videos in the future. And also make sure you subscribe if you're someone new, because right here you can get all your information on Devil's Third and much more on gaming. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will see you for the next episode. Peace.